Hockenheim plays host to round 11 of the FF1M Championship 2010. It was a home victory last season out for Timo Glock in the Shake and Bake. This season has been disastrous though, so very unlikely he'll repeat that. And very fast circuits situated in near the Heidelberg region. 4 massively long straights, very popular for overtaking. Possibly the fastest race of the season. And we look through the grid, and it's a home driver on pole position. It's Nico Hülkenberg, taking pole by a massive 0.8 of a second from Buemi. Good qualifying from Webber up to 3rd in the LeBlanc. All German row 3, it's Vettel and Suttil. Hamilton down in 9th, which are not good for his championship chances. Alonso not so much better up in 7th, it's Buemi that's in the hot seat there. Once again, Jenson Button having a really horrid qualifying session, although Grosjean's lowly position at 13th suggests that the car isn't particularly suited to the Hockenheim round this year. Historically, FJ have been quick here, not so at the moment. But anyway, we get ready for the start. 5 lights go on. Wait for it. Still waiting for it. The 5 lights go out, and the left side of the grid got great starts. Buemi's had a poor start. Will we have a first corner incident in the first corner? We had a couple here in a row. All slowing a bit. Yes, there's a spinner, and there's another spinner as well. Just trying to work out who that is. It's Heikki Kovalainen in the Dark Wolf, who's been doing some good performances recently in a Guy racing of Nico Rosberg, and then Jenson Button was involved as well. Now this is the second acid test. Is there going to be an incident here? All clean so far. No accident from Timo Glock this time. Well, that was surprisingly clean, and Hülkenberg trying to streak away into the distance. Hamilton battling with Robert Kubica into the Ost curve, and he's managed that. His Paffett is up to 16th position, which is quite good considering his grid slot of 22nd and last. Here is Kimi Räikkönen having a look at his own teammate Alonso, and braking far too late. He's going to hit Bruno Senna off the track, and Senna rejoining right into the path and flipping over. That was Sergio Perez in the Shannon. That was all started by Räikkönen's ambitious one, and he's blocked the track, and that was an FJR that got involved in that. So they're clearing Perez's car now, and here's a start from Kovalainen. Let's see what happened to him. So into the first corner. And it was actually a Shannon that hit Rosberg. That was Perez. So that first corner incident was started by Perez's ambition, shunted Rosberg, who careered into Kovalainen. So really, that was karma for Perez. This was a battle between Alonso and Räikkönen. Alonso braking very late into the first chicane. This is actually on lap 2 now, so these two battling each other. Räikkönen just losing a position to Fernando, but looking like he's going to gain that back right into the... That's brake way too late. He's not going to make that in a month of Sundays, but he has done. Good move from Räikkönen. But Alonso, due to the nature of this circuit, is going to have a go back. Now, which side is he going to get? He's having a look. Now it's the left side. Duked him into that one. Fantastic scrap between these two tornadoes, and somebody went off the track. That was Sebastian Vettel, and he's lost a position to both Dark Wolves. Both tornadoes, sorry. They're still battling away into the stadium. Räikkönen wins this time round. This is what happened to Vettel going into the 3rd chicane, and just got it in too hot, and there he was rejoining. Luckily the tornadoes saw him coming. Lap 3, and the battle continues into the first chicane. Alonso got alongside long before the braking zone. Hard on the brakes. That's off the track a little bit, and he's been nudged off by Raikkonen. His own teammate has nudged him off the track. And now we're going to see Vettel having a look at Kimi. In terms of the championship, that is good news for Hamilton and Buemi. And what on earth is going to happen into the S-curve? And Raikkonen battling away with Timo Glock. Still battling away. Just a bit far enough to have a decent move. Well, Glock was very slow in that first stadium corner. Meanwhile, the two Mitchells lead. An early pit stop for Webber. More unreliability for LeBlanc. It's become sadly customary for them now. He was quite light on fuel anyway. He was looking to stop twice, and this is a tornado getting past. I'm just trying to see what's happening there. It's both tornadoes battling each other and Glock at the same time. So he's going to outbrake him into first chicane. Will he make it this time? Just about. Fernando takes that position. No doubt Raikkonen will have a go back. But it depends how much slipstream Alonso has on Glock, which in this case is not quite enough. So outbraking Alonso into the S-curve goes Raikkonen. And Alonso still close, so might have another go back into the third chicane. Here we go. Up the inside. Braking very late, just about making the corner. Stay on board with Alonso going into the stadium. And pulling out goes Raikkonen. So that's going to be 9th place for Raikkonen now. Tremendous scrap between these two. So in the final corner. And to the 4 main overtaking spots, there is an overtaking spot. You can have a go into turn 1. And that looks like what Alonso might be doing. But he's a bit too far back. A bit too bumpy there. That doesn't look good for Alonso. Piquet, meanwhile, in 7th place, has got a problem because he's just been passed by Glock for 7th. And that looks like it's going to be position lost to Raikkonen. Piquet has got a problem, so he'll be coming into the pits. Loose wheel, apparently. Which at Hockenheim is pretty damn scary. And slowing down is a Mitchell. Which one is that? And it's Buemi. Buemi is out of the race. Gearbox failure for Sebastian Buemi. Mark Webber, meanwhile, after his problems, is making his way back up the order. Well, trying to. He's trying to take Grosjean for 9. Is that Jensen Button for 17th, actually? And that's confirmation of Buemi's retirement. So it looks set to be another dismal afternoon for Button, who actually retired from Silverstone with an engine failure. Just having a look at Raikkonen now. And he's having a go at Glock for 6th place. So yeah, Raikkonen has won the battle between the two tornadoes. And look at the lead Hülkenberg has got. Lap 10. And Glock is going to go off the track. And he's going to come under pressure from Alonso. Meanwhile, the gap Hülkenberg and Suttel. Germany 1-2. The gap between them two is at 20.6 seconds, which is unreal. And the inside, Glock leaves space. This is on the next lap. And Hülkenberg pulled out to 22.4 seconds. That's practically 2 seconds a lap. And the straight line speed of that shake and bake is enormous. Alonso can't really do anything about it at the moment. He's going to have to try something inventive. So Tornado, better handling, well certainly better handling than Glock. He's got a long side, he's going to have to break him into the Ost curve. That's cleanly done for Fernando Alonso, which is quite crucial actually, because he needs to catch up to Hamilton and somehow get past. Grosjean versus Trulli for 9th place into the 3rd chicane. That's a position gained for Roman. Will Trulli have a go back going into the stadium? Looks like Grosjean's got big enough lead to stay ahead. Lap 12, looking at Hülkenberg, coming up to lap Heikki Kovalainen, who of course was involved in that first corner incident with Rosberg and what on earth is going on here? In fact, Hülkenberg trying to lap him, but he's coming into the pits instead. So it was a very light fuel load for Hülkenberg at the start. And the limiter into his garage. Will he rejoin ahead of Suttle? He's built out such an enormous lead over him, he could rejoin ahead of him if they have a good enough stop. See how long the stop is. It's at 12.2 seconds. Probably a 2-stop. Although historically we do see some late splash and dashes. So out of the pits. He's second. And about to come under a bit of pressure from Kubica perhaps. So Suttle does lead. Hamilton in the pits as well, so his fuel load was quite light as well. He doesn't rejoin second. He in fact rejoins in 12th place, but possibly going to come under pressure from Webber. Or is that Senna? It's Webber. Let's see what Webber can do into the first chicane. And Hamilton shutting the door very firmly there. Webber might have a go into the second chicane. He's certainly in the slipstream. Some straight line speed on that LeBlanc. Into the Ost curve. Doesn't even need to wait for the braking zone. That's just powered straight past. Although that said, on to the next chicane, Hamilton pressuring Webber a bit. Webber on old tyres, but the considerably lighter car. Hülkenberg meanwhile 4.5 behind Suttle, but Suttle has not stopped. It's been a good drive from Suttle from 6th on the grid to get up to the lead. Kimi Räikkönen comes into the pits from 6th place, so that will promote... Well, it would have been 5th, he would have been ahead of Alonso, so came from 5th place into the pits. So into turn 1, Hamilton having a sneaky look, but nothing of it. Räikkönen plummeting down the order. Just about to see him. There he is, coming out of the pits. And Hamilton doesn't have the straight line speed that Webber has at the moment. Although he does have a slightly more reliable machine than the LeBlanc. And he's got fresher tyres, of course. This will be Robert Kubica coming into the pits. So, going a bit later on his stint than Hülkenberg. Drove for the FJR last season and suffered some chronic unreliability, and his reliability this season has been fairly decent, only 3 retirements. That was a 10.7 second stop, so that was quite quick. And he just got held up a little bit by a Shannon, who is making a pit stop as well. Kamui Kobayashi in 6th, Rosberg 7th. There is Kubica, rejoining behind Rosberg. And there's a right train of cars here. Gary Paffett comes into the pits from 15th place. Hülkenberg, meanwhile, catching Suttle quite quickly, so it looks as if new tyres are the advantage here. Mark Webber is going to put Kubica under some pressure coming into the Ost curve. just powering straight through. That is some phenomenal straight line speed for the LeBlanc. So he's up to 8th place after his early problem in the pits. Fighting drive. And Kubica can't catch up to him. Suttil, I think, is just coming into the pits. That's why he's dropped behind Hülkenberg. Indeed, he has done. So then, let's compare the grip between the LeBlanc and the Guy Racing. Granted, different tyres. And Webber catching Rosberg a little bit. Webber's tyres are slightly fresher than Rosberg's. Rosberg did have that first lap incident that was caused by Perez. Then of course we saw Perez getting his own back from Raikkonen. So going round turn 1, and that's a good run. Now how much will slipstream be a factor? Because Webber's slightly in the Rosberg slipstream. You can see there, outbraking him. That is going to be too late. That is far too late. Yes, he's gone off the track. Who's going to take out? He's going to take out his own teammate. That's not the first time that's happened between the two Guy Racings. Remember Christian Klien and Kubica won, I think it was 2008, where they collided with each other spectacularly at the Os curve. The two Guy Racings have done it again. That's quite funny. So as a result, Kubica's dropped behind Vettel and Hamilton. So in the slipstream of the German world champion in the Shannon. Shannon's hope for points in this race. Vettel has been the point scorer for the Shannon. Perez hasn't even scored a single point. And as a result, they're down in 9th place in the Constructors' Championship, tying with Andy Racing. Well, just looking at that, Andy Racing should actually be ahead because Suttil has had a podium. So technically Shannon are down in 10th. 4 points behind LeBlanc. And up to turn 1 comes Kubica. And that was a good move. And he put Vettel out of kilter in the slipstream there. Although, will Vettel actually get enough slipstream to get a slipstream? Looks as if he sort of is doing. He's gaining very quickly into the first chicane. That's 5th place for Vettel. And he's off the track. Ooh, very close to colliding, and Kubica went off the track in sympathy. But that's 5th place now secure for Robert, the Polish driver. Hülkenberg's got an enormous lead of 28.4 seconds. This rate, he may lap the whole field up to 3rd place. Still got quite a long way to go. Straight line speed appears strong on the Shannon. Here's Webber, who's fought his way back up to 3rd place, so good recovery from Mark. That's been very impressive actually from Mark. I mean, he's got a car that's a demon in the straight lines. Fairly unreliable. He's going to come in the pits this time though. So whether this will be his last stop, because it's bang on half distance. We'll just have a look at how long his pit stop will be. To his pit box. Webber's helmet actually matches the yellow part of the mechanics. That's a short stop. He's going to have to pit again. That's 8.7 seconds. So he can utilise a light fuel load and new tyres to try and storm his way back up the order. Because at the moment he's dropped down to 11th place. So ahead of him is Grosjean and Glock. Those are his first 2 victims. Then it will be Piquet. He's exactly a minute behind the race leader. This is Senna, I believe, who's going to get in too hot, having tried to move on Barrichello. Spin it. Whoa. Nearly caused an accident. That's Kubitsa's engine has blown up. And losing the position to PK almost immediately. Temperature's too hot to handle for the Guy Racing with the Mercedes engine. Same engine as in the Tornado, so maybe that's why the straight line speed is not great. The Mitchell, well, the LeBlanc has a Renault engine, which is quite good. How does it compare against the FGR? No contest. So that's 9th place for Webber. And there's a car off there. That'll be the Mitchell that pulled off earlier. And pulling off was Senna. That's Senna with a puncture. And of course you don't want to have that in Hockenheim. So Hamilton in 3rd place, making what should be his last pit stop. Though we did see Webber convert to a 3-stop. Whether Hamilton will do the same thing depends how long his stop actually is. 9.1, that's quite touch and go actually. Out of the pits comes Lewis. Where will he rejoin in relation to the pack? Somebody's going around turn 1. That is his own teammate. This is going to be interesting. So Glock has is alongside in the slipstream now. So Glock has just taken 7th place from Hamilton, who is now behind Alonso. Would expect Alonso to make a new pit stop. Will be his 2nd stop. Getting alongside into the Ost curve. Should be a simple move. There's yellow flags out there, so I wonder who's gone off. Hamilton did complete the move in time. Maybe they're just recovering Senna's stricken LeBlanc there. Raikkonen comes in the pits. That's a longer stop in 9.9. Maybe enough to get to the end. And Timo Glock comes in the pits, so shake and make drivers not colliding, unlike the 2 Guy Racing drivers. Kobayashi comes in from, well, it says P10, so that's quite unusual. So I'm wondering what on earth that was all about. That was Hülkenberg just coming through, so Raikkonen nearly a lap down. Vettel has somehow moved up to 2nd place, so I imagine Suttel has made a pit stop. So that's why Sebastian is up to where he is at the moment. Pulling into his pits. Alonso comes into the pits as well. That'll be his last stop. And 10.6, that's definitely going to get Vettel to the end of the race. No doubt it'll be the same for Alonso. Roman Grosjean comes into the pits to make his last stop. And a lovely bit of clear track for Sebastian Vettel, who rejoins in 5th. And behind his teammate, Alonso. At 33, and Hülkenberg's lead is over a minute. So absolutely dominant display from the German. That was in spite of his horrendous race last time out. And that's Suttel that's just gone off the track at the Ost curve, so that's going to put him under pressure from Webber, who takes 2nd place. Mark Webber moves up to 2nd. And remember, he came into the pits that means in the pits. So he did have to make one more stop. There's no doubt about that. So that was 7th place now for Webber. So, brief scare for Suttel, but safely rejoined. Now we're going to see Webber. This is going to be something from Mark. Here's Suttel's teammate about to go into the stadium corner. And Webb already and smashing into the barrier. That was frightening. They just understeered straight into the wall. Brake problems for Alonso, so that's why I saw him drop back behind Webber. Nothing but a quick pit stop will fix that, and now he's going to make his way past Kobayashi for 9th place. Some good straight line speed from that Pedersen there. So will we see Kobayashi having to go back? So we stay on board with Alonso. No, he's safe. So now he's going to do what I can to catch Jarno Trulli for the final point. We haven't mentioned much of Trulli, but quiet but solid afternoon after started 18th on the grid. And here is 13th place Button looking to make a move on Kubica. So those pit stops for Kubica have cost him massively, so he's dropped now down to 13th. Button now up to 12th, his teammate's 7th. This is Hamilton. He did have to pit again, so quick splash and dash with 8 laps to go. Chandok doing the same thing, but he's nowhere, he's irrelevant. But it's Hamilton, quite crucially, into the pits. Where will he rejoin in relation to Alonso? Would expect him to be ahead. Vettel pits as well. So he had to make one more stop. So they're all making the late splash and dash, and Webber's already pitted 3 times, so Raikkonen in as well. So he's looking good for Mark Webber at the moment, who's now up to 3rd, and Hülkenberg has made a 3rd pit stop as well. Sebastian Vettel rejoining behind Romain Grosjean for 5th place. So it's going to be interesting to see if Grosjean can make it through to the end of the race. Wonder if Suttle can do the same thing as well. And taking a strange line there was Roman. He's going to be easy meat if he's not careful. But he's got a German behind him, so he'd be easy Bratwurst. And in front of the home crowd as well, how appropriate. So that's 5th place now for Vettel, sailing past the Frenchman. I'd expect him to stay ahead going into the 3rd chicane. Grosjean's just a bit too far back in the slipstream. Here's 9th place Jarno Trulli, who has fallen behind Alonso. He's going to go into turn 1, go off the track, spin, lose 9th place, and he'll rejoin. And off has gone Button, so capping off a rather disappointing race for the Brit. Now that his seat will come under threat. It's a gearbox problem. And we're having a look at Vettel going into the first corner of the stadium. And that looked quite strange, that. He's gone off the track at Sachs and he's smashed his wheel off. That was bizarre, that. He just didn't want to turn us all. That was bizarre as that. So he's lost that 5th place that he worked so hard to gain back from Grosjean. But we're into the stadium section now, and it's new home hero Nico Hülkenberg. Hasn't won a race this season. His form has been rather up and down. It's plain to be said, but he's going to come through the final corner now to take his first ever victory. Not just for Mitchell, but for himself. Really, really dominant drive from Nico Hülkenberg. It looks like it's going to be a German 1-2 with Suttil second. Very, very good drive for Mark Webber to come back to 3rd. And Hamilton gains points on Alonso. Extends his lead, rather. Especially with Buemi's retirement. It's quite a good damage limitation for Lewis. And Grosjean, very good drive, utilising a 2-stop strategy to finish 5th. Tornado 6th and 7th, they'll be disappointed with that, I'd imagine. And Kobayashi takes the final point for Pedersen. So 8 points clear now is Hamilton from Alonso. Buemi 3rd, and Hülkenberg moves up to 4th past Raikkonen and Grosjean. Grosjean and Raikkonen now tied with each other. Suttil moves up to 7th, completing the top 10, Kubica, Button and Kovalainen. And if we look at the Constructors' Championship, we shall see Tornado still ahead of Shake and Bake, and the gap between those two remaining at 8 points. Mitchell closing in now. Look how close they are now. They've got two good drivers. They're well in the Constructors' hunt now. FJ are quite lonely in 4th place now. So the next race is at the completely different circuit to Hockenheim, the tight and twisty Hungara Ring. We shall see you for then.